All right. We are back. Don't call it a comeback. Alrighty, I am here just getting back into the stream schedule on and off. So we'll see how today goes. We're opening on the overnight lows. We're continuously making new overnight lows. So let's see what happens here. I was watching this as a pretty important level here. That 56.10.75 is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Last time we came to it, we supported it. Let's see what happens. This run through support, pullback, support again. Could be a bounce location. And we got the Maximus in the room as well. So if we can break down this this level here. Break down this all-time high VWAP, fail to break through it, come back, confirm. That'll give me a nice confirmation. I think we'd probably come down into this 19,730 up into that 775-ish level. So we'll go from there. Obviously, like I said, we have these key levels. We have about 4 minutes-ish, 3 minutes and a half till open. NVIDIA selling off in pre-market. Microsoft selling off pre-market. Very patient. Although I love when we open up at overnight lows after having been all the way pulled back from overnight highs. So a trend in the overnight. Could be some profit taking early. Should that anchor VWAP get swept and then rotated out. But we'll see. That 56.10 quarter to 3/4 here. That's going to be that spot right there. That's that VWAP line. I don't have it on here. Maybe I'll throw it on my execution screen, but let's see what happens. I just want to let things kind of get going first before I start really hammering in. I'm not opposed to entering in on the first candle of the day of the session, but I am going to be executing on the MNQ over here. Got my Top Step open on the other screen, so we're going to be executing the XFAs over there. You know what, actually, I will execute on Top Step here. And the futures desk is going to go on the other screen. No, you know what? That's wrong. We'll do that. Just so we can see both MES and MNQ. Like I said, you could see NVIDIA pushing down into that support, potentially down there at 111. Completely opening, gapping below yesterday's price action. Microsoft, same deal. Microsoft over here, you could see, swept that support, looking to hold it. We'll see if we can get down into this pre-market range from yesterday and into that 428.80. But it looks like we're kind of looking like Microsoft may want to get a bounce on the open. NVIDIA, not so much. It may sweep, so we could get that nice little heavier push down to the downside. I'm going to continue to move this to here, because that's my actual pre-market low. We have about, how many seconds? 1 minute here till open now. Let's see if we can get something going. I'm going to minimize that OBS. Looking for good opportunities here early. For me, honestly, a recovery of this pre-market level here at 56.16, or that kind of right where we're at right now, isn't a terrible idea either, right? Because we're making those lows right before market opens. The risk to reward there is great, pretty much. But I want to see what happens with this opening price action, especially with that all-time high anchored VWAP on the MES, very, very close, right? So if we have this here, we're right on it at that 56.10 and 3/4. I want to see that either flush or bounce. So that's going to help this overnight low. We got 3 seconds left. Have a good trading session, everybody. There's the push down right into that level. Let's see if it holds or not. We flushed it. I'm also willing to take a buy over this. Now I'm going to wait. Wait a second. Let this settle in. Never quite made it to that VWAP, right? Still did not make it there, but we are bouncing right off the jump. Could have missed it. Yeah, Microsoft bounced, Nvidia bounced. Let's see. We recovered those levels there. Let me give this 1 minute candle a chance to settle in, maybe sweep us one more time. Trap some more shorts down below there. 56.10 and 3/4, right? I said is where that level is. So that's where I want to really see if the S&Ps can get to that point. I mean, obviously people are going to front run it, but you can see already good reason to not enter in there. Just be a little patient. I'm going to leave it alone. It's very whippy. Nvidia's breaking down currently. Market's not following through with that. So there is a bid coming in. I might buy over this wick. It's got to hold though. I would prefer to see it sweep it one more time. Although that is a really nice quick grab below, then rotate up. I mean, you're at 83. If you can get an entry somewhere around there, you know, you're already up 40 points on it. But Nvidia's heavy, and that doesn't help my thesis. And I don't want to be buying the NASDAQ while Nvidia's trying to break lows, because it is pretty much the heaviest weighted between them and Microsoft, right? Softy is holding that key level that I talked about, that 431.90 right there. That's that Microsoft level. You can see it holding. There's Nvidia now catching a little bit of a bid, and now we're missed out on that opportunity there, right? Talking through it. Nice little A+ setup there for the mean reversion, but I never quite flushed that 56.10, right? I wanted to see that come in and test it. Never quite made it there, right? You see how many wicks that came in through it last time. Still a good chance that we could get there. This is very early in the session, so I'm not too concerned about missing that little bit of a bounce there. I really want to get the move that's going to go and never look back, although this, right, 1, 2, 3 already pushed straight up. My target's normally that first target's VWAP for the mean reversion, so I like to see some more trapping kind of behavior. I want to see a deeper wick, or, you know, people trying to fall into that momentum short, and then that momentum short failing and then rotating back out. That's what I'm looking for here. Checking the news wires. Just more Saudi Arabia mineral resources. Nothing really crazy. Putin and Xi discuss Ukraine on the 8th. Balance sheet. Monthly deficit is increasing slightly. Oh no, actual balance negative 140.5 billion, higher than or lower than forecast of 137. Nothing outrageous, just being patient. Like I said, I want to see this S&P get deeper beforehand, especially with Nvidia not really following through to the upside. It bounced and it's now just kind of holding around that 111.60s. Usually I could get this secondary flush. If we open on the overnight lows, I like the overnight low immediate bounce, right? To take that buy, but I really wanted to see this green line get swept before I started to execute on the NQ, because the ES has been leading me lately, and obviously right now it's pushing up, but this heaviness from previous day high, we hit the previous day highs yesterday, we've sold ever since. So for me, people are going to try to play continuations through this overnight low, and so if we get that trap, right, where people are going to say, oh, it's going to continue to follow through and push lower and move in, and they're going to try and everybody's going to try and be short here. There's going to be stops here. There's going to be a lot of reasons for this to kind of capitulate downside, which then could allow me to be on the opposite end and fade the majority there and try and say, okay, this breakdown is not likely to continue, and we'll move on. And like I said, we have this support here, really, really key support, that all-time high anchored VWAP that we retested a few days ago. And clearly you can see it's been acting as resistance. We flipped it now, support. Do we now press back up with the next leg here? And it could do it here, right? That was close enough. Not so convinced quite yet, although this was a nice strong pop, pretty clean. Would have been able to capture, perfect little move there, but not something that I thought was going to continue just based on the heaviness through the pre-market. I do like to buy that first one. I was talking about it. I was very close to buying through that first little candle there, but we held off because we really do want to see that flush. Let's get some more people in here. Trying hard to break through this little consolidated area, right? We have the pressure down, bid, back up. Where are we having that right now? That is pretty much the level that we're coming into, where we tried to push back down through here on the first, right? Do we continue back up? Do we reach VWAP or not? I'm really more considering longing that 19,730 to 775, 780 level, and with help from the S&Ps of a flush through 5610. So if we can get the S&Ps to respect this level, rotate back down, try and trap shorts through that 5610 and 3/4. That's where that anchored VWAP is sitting. If we could flush through there, then the NQ can also follow through. Try and trap some of those shorts down into, where did I say, 775 to 730, 75 to 730. So I mean, really, anywhere where you'll see it'll be a heavy wick down into maybe even 745, 750. Let's see if I can get that up to here. Let's say it's right there. I think it can get to that level, if not into here. Like that zone there. Go back to my minute chart. Unfortunately, with the Project X platform, the VWAP does not protect calculate correctly unless you zoom completely out. So make sure if you are using that platform, you got to zoom out, get that populated VWAP to be correct, right? Because otherwise it's too close, or it only uses the data that it sees on the chart. Well, looks like I missed the entry right there for my normal A plus strategy. Like I said, I may have been a little bit too precise on trying to wait for this 5610 sweep. Yes, buddy. Look at that, a portal. Nice. I wanted to see that sweep of that 5610 and 3/4. We got so close to it that realistically, once you hold this overnight low, pushing up to VWAP makes sense, right? Now that we're through that little bit of resistance here, the S&Ps tend to respect these levels more. So the fact that now we have pushed through here, now the pressure's back to the buyers at this point. We'll see if they can hold and maintain this level. If not, this could be a trap, obviously, and then flush and rotate and continue down. So the fact that we didn't do that trappy behavior immediately doesn't negate our idea, right? We could still get that, but this is where you're going to get that breakout failure. This is a similar type of idea that you would try and get down here, but it's got to fail, right? And if this doesn't fail, then this is going to continue on as well. Have no executions yet. 0 executions. As I mentioned, this is probably the most ideal A plus type setup. The only thing that really didn't happen for me was a deeper trapping kind of failed breakout, right? Like, I'm not just playing buy the overnight low, sell the overnight high. I look for behaviors that would trap longs or shorts, and in order to get myself into a position that's going to happen quick and move, right? If it's just going to tick in and be out and then just go, it's difficult for me to try and get that. That's why I was hesitant. If you watch from the beginning, if you rewind it or see where I'm at with what I was talking about early, I didn't enter this right away because that's really not the idea of a mean reversion failed breakout play, right? The mean reversion for me, a failed breakout, failed breakdown, failed continuation play for me is trapping shorts or trapping longs on the other end by making them believe, okay, we got a strong candle down, we push through this level. If you only push through very slightly, I do enter on this a lot of times, especially in this environment, but it's not that. Give me a second. Good job, dude. Yeah. So I want to see a trapping type behavior, and that's when I'll be more convinced to say, okay, there's a lot of shorts that are off sides. We can revert back to the mean and push back into VWAP. Clearly the level works, and this happens pretty frequently where you could get ticked in and go. I really was just waiting for one more push down. I was hesitant to enter in right quick because I really wanted to see that VWAP, that anchor VWAP from all-time highs on the S&Ps get tagged. But, we came within a couple ticks. So, less than 2 points on that. So that is going to act as support. But you saw previously that we wicked through it a few times. It's a 30-minute, so we still can push down. We'll see what happens.
Enjoy Waba. Daddy, I made a piggy out of Waba. Wait, piggies can't die? Are they?
So you see the S&P is trying to hold this battleground area right here. My thought on it is that it doesn't quite want to go, although it is showing some strength here. NQ is trying to push the highs while the S&Ps are not. The NVIDIA is what is concerned. Like I said before, NVIDIA was heavy. So you have the NVIDIA running into VWAP, rotating back down to that first lower band, but also you have Microsoft running into an upper area of support, of resistance. So for that 435.17, you're going to see, we flushed through there. We held it. Are we going to break through with Microsoft and push to the highs? I mean, do we have any great news? Stocks rising on Monday, boosted by strong earnings. Obviously, we talked about that. I didn't talk about it today, but I've talked about it in my Twitter and stuff like that. So you see that we're at resistance here. You're selling through there on NVIDIA. So can we push back down into 111.09, which could help this here, right? We're going to try and flush that overnight low. You have the S&Ps really rejecting that breakout, right? So we're going to see if that rotation does come in here, push back through. The only issue is now, if we do fail this upper end here, trap some of the longs in, and then rotate back through the overnight low, is that more of a confirmation that, okay, now we're at failed break up and then continue back down? Trend is to the downside. We are pushing that way. So let's see what happens. I like this play. This is my normal A strategy. It would be an A plus if it would have been a deeper push, but opening up on overnight lows usually leads to this kind of pop early. I, just didn't quite take it there. So it is what it is. Okay, so we're pushing back towards it. We got NVIDIA that snapped through that lower band of VWAP. Microsoft, I should get back to trading equities because to the tick at that 435-ish level, right? Big area of resistance for me. Clearly, I was going to sell or do something there. And then you have NVIDIA wicking down through that lower band of VWAP, maybe trapping some people into thinking that that's going to short or rotate back up. But I would like to see it back down around that 111.10 to get our equities indexes back. But you can see the failure of the breakout, rotate back down. I would like to see it trap some shorts through that 56.10.75 before rotating back through the overnight low, which could help us, I think, get the NQs down to that 19.748 and then rotate if we do fail and trap shorts to get my actual true move back up. And if it does do that, say I take it with 2 micros or whatever I take it with here, first area that I would like to make it to is VWAP. With this assessment, the TFD, I am only limited to making $150 on it, so there's that. But I am also executing on my XFAs on Top Step, so let's see what happens, how much I can make on that. I'm going to see if I can run it up. I'm only going to take one full mini on there, so I would trail it kind of quick. So let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Just talking through the ideas, having just my process going through each individual idea that I'm thinking about, trying to just get you thinking about why markets would turn at certain areas and in certain locations, why my ideas are more of a fade the majority type thing. So we'll look to see if we can get that idea to play out, right? Where we can sweep the low, trap some shorts, make them think, okay, we failed to break above. We'll sweep the low, trap some shorts through here. There's stops here, clearly. I think we can push into that 748. I don't normally go long until we break back above. I stop through and try and get back on the other end. If we never make it to that overnight low, which it doesn't seem, right? It looks heavy right now, but if we don't make it there, then I don't have an entry. If I see something that's, clear as day that maybe makes it, this idea here where we sweep this area, which we just did, that could make sense for a long if you are a little bit more aggressive, let's say. But for me, I like to see it get through that actual low. Even if it was 2 seconds before market open, it's still the overnight low for me, the pre-market level. But on the rotation back through, right? So I will mark these levels as I kind of go through the day, just to see where there's areas of interest and rejection. I delete them every day, or for the most part, daily, depending if I'm lazy or not. If I could get the sweep here, when I break back through, I expect that to be an area where I run into some congestion. I'm going to run into some potential sellers, some defense right there, and then if I could get through it, you would expect something like how it's working now on the downside to work the same way through to the upside. And if I'm going to get continuation, this is if I entered, long through the 83 level, get filled here, I'm going to look to either get even after I break through there or start to trail depending on how I see the behaviors. So we got the break of the overnight low in the ES right there. Looking for that sweep of that 56.10.75 on that all-time high anchored VWAP, which we might not get. If this starts to rotate through here, then that's another reason I would possibly take a long through that level at 806. But we'll see what happens. I think we can trap shorts. Let's trap some shorts. Let's do it. Especially pre-FOMC day, I don't feel... I mean, we're not expecting cuts or anything. I think any sort of surprise will rock the market. There's a hard flush. I'm going to buy through the high now if it does. So we swept that VWAP, right? How far will it go? This is the important level there. The 56.10. I trade the NQ. There's my dashboard. This is what I want to see. Will this hold here or not? Or are we going to get all the way down to these levels? I think this is a key line in the sand. It's all-time high anchored VWAP. We never made it there in the NQ, and that's another reason why this could be a little bit heavier, right? 730 to 775, we're in that zone of where I think we can come in, grab some liquidity, and pop back up. Should it continue, then I just don't have an entry, right? That's just part of my strategy and thinking through how these ideas and the way markets move and work through things. So I'm looking to see if I could get this to be a trap, which it's trying to sweep this, right? If the S&Ps can break above here, start to look to close and make their way back above it, then we can get some movement. Should this be actually a momentum breakdown and continuation, then we don't ever have an entry. It'll never come back to us because most good breakouts will go and never come back. If I get tagged in, swept out, then that's on me. That's whatever. I have to take that shot. It is an A-plus type setup. So I have my order in there. Like you see, I like to stop in. I like to get my momentum going. You could limit in. You could buy in down here. I don't have a confirmation that it wants to get back up as a failed breakout. So that's why I'm not just entering in limit orders, because things like this happen where you get that hard liquidity sweep. People limit in and then they just get swept out into their stop. Unless you're going to have a much bigger account size and a lot of room where you can limit in, and then once everything settles in after you get that limit filled, then set your stops accordingly. But if you're just going to get run over, I don't want to be in that game, right? NVIDIA is at that support level that I wanted it to be at, right? We're there, 111.07 to 10. If we can hold this and start to break, we're good. Microsoft back to some support levels from pre-market. So those are two confluences that I like to look at. They're on another screen. If you're a breakdown, or momentum continuation, this is a good reason to be short. if that's what you're thinking, but also understand that this is how other people are thinking through it. So you can understand why sometimes maybe if you're playing breakout momentum style trades, if you're not quick, you could get tagged out because they are looking to do certain things like I'm looking to do as well. As far as the VWAP is concerned, we have extended out from on the 30-minute here from VWAP down past the first band, probably close into the second band. Like I said, I like that 730 level as a key structure level, so I wouldn't be mad if it got down into here before starting to rotate back up. I don't have an entry. Maybe I'd take 1 micro off of that 730 if I see the same type of behavior, and then have full position on through the overnight low. But the overnight low is my continuation, so you really want to see if this is going to be more of a failed breakdown, that you don't get these nice bodied closes below. I would like to see it get a bit wicky, get some dancing going on, but you can see right into that structure level. See if it holds that now. NVIDIA broke down and has held below 111 now, so if we can't hold 111 on NVIDIA, then the sellers could step in on NVIDIA and push us pretty deep, maybe down to 110. But once we get through 110.50 on NVIDIA, you have all the way down to 107 without any resistance, really. I mean, maybe a little bit at 109, but that would make your short idea play out really nicely. No trades yet, but I do have an order resting here for a buy if we're going to get some sort of wild breakout candle or something. I don't have any news at 9, so we're okay to just leave that order there for now. I am Central Time, so I will speak in Central Time at times. Just adjust yourself for me. Changed up the stream a little bit with I got no background now. Got that set up. Trying to make it as clean and obvious as possible. I never hide my balances or anything like that. I don't really care what you see or what you don't see, but just for transparency's sake, you can see that there's no executions. That's on the top of the screen. And we're looking like we're coming aggressively back to that overnight low. We're back over it in the S&Ps, which was nice, right? We flushed that anchored VWAP. I need S&Ps to start holding over it. NVIDIA held over 111, recovered that. So here we go. Let's see if we now get triggered in. I have it just slightly over that because I don't want to just get ticked in and ticked out. If I do, I do. It is what it is. So I give myself a little bit of breathing room because if this does become a failed breakout, then I'm not even risking all the way down to this low because that's a bit far for, my idea. If it's going to go quick. The buyers are just going to step in and push us straight through and back up into, like I said, that 806. That's when it'll be where I expect that congestion and that area where sellers may try and defend quick. And then if it breaks through how we saw here, then we're safe to kind of be as tight as we want with our stop and then be right quick or wrong quick. That's really all I care. I don't want to be hanging around in a position too long. NVIDIA broke back through 111.10, is trying to retest 111.10 now, see if it can hold or if it's going to break. That's really going to be an indication on what we're thinking here. If we get NVIDIA to hold and rotate back up to VWAP, then our idea will probably play out a lot cleaner. But as you can see, the retest of the overnight low in the S&Ps happened, and we got above it, and we failed at the moment. See if we can break and hold. That's why I go just slightly above it in the NQs, because I like to see that the ES leads the way a lot of times lately. It's not always the case, but lately that seems to be true. I'm going to go slightly better now, because if we do get back above this, I would like a better fill. Yeah, I like that better. This is playing out how I kind of talked it through. So at least if, worst case scenario, it does trap me in and then continue to run short, I at least had a justifiable reason on why I wanted to get into this trade. I have a plan on how I want to manage it, all that. It's not a surprise if it does happen, right? This would have been nice. I would have been in and out and probably done for the day there, but that's not the most appropriate way for me to manage that trade. That's not the setup that's going to give me a better odds, right? This is more of a 50-50 shot, flip a coin, and you probably get stopped out more than not. You know, it'll wick me out and then run do this. So I'd rather see this more trappy behavior, try and get more people involved in thinking that it's going to continue and be short momentum wise. And like I said, yesterday was an inside day. Today maybe we continue down. Tomorrow's FOMC decision day, rate cut, whatever, rate stay. A lot of people don't want to get caught off sides in case there is a surprise. So there is a good chance that another day of kind of just rotational behavior does happen. So that's what I look for also. You know, what kind of news are we going to get? Trump could tweet in a second, and then this could skyrocket or melt off depending on what he has to say. So it's all relative. Just keeping an eye on. I have my financial news, my financial juice ticker up. It's live streaming, so I can hear if anything kind of comes across the wire that I'm not paying attention to. NVIDIA breaking back down below 111.10, so our idea for the opposite direction could have stagnated for now. Could be one more trap and then a run, or it could just continue. Like I said, it is what I look for is failed breakouts. If it's a continued breakout or continued breakdown, momentum play, then it's just something that I'm not interested in taking because I don't have a good management system for it. I don't have a good thesis behind it for me, other than it is going that direction and it wants to continue going that direction. If you're new to these parts, I am policing pips. I trade futures. I currently have a couple XFAs with Top Step, and I'm working through a TFD eval, the futures desk. And I have a little boy here. What's up?
What's the monk have singing that was playing with me?
I don't know, buddy.
And I don't know where it is.
No idea.
Because it was on the top and the number one.
All right.
I have two numbers.
You try to stream and you have kids around hanging out. That's kind of how it goes. So let's see if the thesis plays out now that we've held that area that I was interested in before, and also, like I said, that anchored VWAP from all-time highs in the S&Ps is what I was looking to get swept, which just happened. So let's see if we can get a good momentum play here. I am taking this on my XFA on the other screen. This is the futures desk eval. I've been working really hard at just kind of maintaining this really disciplined risk management on this. So these are micros. You're only going to see 2 micros traded here. I can only make $150, otherwise it extends your target. I'll explain that later after this trade does or does not execute. So we are holding above overnight highs, overnight lows in the S&Ps. See if we could hold above them in the NQs. We are triggered in. Let's see if it wants to hold or not. Like I said, I can only make $150 on these TFD accounts because of consistency rule type idea. But like I said, I want to be right quick. What I looked for, I explained through the whole thing as it was playing out. So if you didn't hear it, I would like you to go back and kind of listen to why I had this play set up and kind of ready to go with the buy stop. I do expect it to run into that 806, give me some resistance. If it wants to continue, it will. If not, it's going to fail and then rotate me back down. But I'm okay with that because that's just part of the plan. Just going to let it see if it's going to get back there and through it. S&Ps needs to hold the overnight low, though, because if that doesn't, then NQ is just going to follow up real hard. I like the buying pressure through failed breakouts. It usually works quick. I'm usually right. I don't take a lot of heat on it. But if I do take heat, it's usually wrong. And like I said, right now we're looking like we're trying to fail it. So I don't want to be in too long. I don't want to over leverage. I will take a second shot at it also. So if you hear me stop out on any of the other accounts, I possibly may get back in because I am trading minis on the other one. So I am a little quicker to take it out on the Top Step. There we go. Pushing up. Push through that. It's holding. S&Ps is holding. Microsoft is trying to sell a little bit there, and NVIDIA also, but that could just be a byproduct of this. So if this is going to go, let's see if it can get through. That 806 is really where I need to get through. I don't see anything on the level 2s that's really concerning at the moment, but it could snap down kind of fast. Here we go. Now we're gonna get stopped on the other one probably because I have a much tighter stop on the mini contract. But here we go. There's a nice push. We need this to hold over that overnight low. If we start to fail this level here, then we're not going to be able to hold it anyway, and I'll cut for less than a full loss. Come on, Microsoft. Got to help me out a little bit here. $800 is, nice round number. People love to defend those round numbers. I do expect resistance at that 806 anyway, like we saw before on the way down. If you hear a little boy chirping in the background, sorry if it bothers you, but that's just what I have here. Little babies. So we're going to push through. If we can push through that 800, then I'm going to manage my top step a little bit tighter. So you might hear me stop, but this one is going to play out. There we go. 806 tagged. I'm up on that. I'm at 1-to-1 on that top step. 806 snapped it. And we're gonna get tagged out, aren't we? On even. I went to even because I wanted to see that go. If it didn't go, it was gonna kind of fail it fast. So 806 to the tick. If you didn't see it, it's right there for you to see. And if you didn't hear me talk about why I expected that, then go back, like I said, and rewind. It's YouTube. You can rewind and do whatever you want from it. We're at 270. We're up on it. If we can get through 806 again, I'm going to move my stop on top step up to 800. Just because it's my XFA, I'm securing a $200 day. I'm not going to be mad about it. But it's just, I manage it a little tighter. But 806... if it does get through it with any sort of force, then we should be safe to be above it. But it looks like it's going to fail it at the moment. Come on, get through it. Break through that 806. I need NVIDIA to kind of get up through its VWAP. NVIDIA's trying to hunt VWAP. We got to get through 806. 800's holding. 800's holding. If we can get through 800, then the next push through 806 could be the next push through. Just be patient. I'm trying to be patient on this and let it play out. See what happens with it. I'm not going to be at it. I'm going to be at that overnight low. There we go. NVIDIA push. Come on now. NVIDIA's getting a little bit of a bid. If it can break through that top of that 111.60, then maybe we get a push up higher on our trade there. But Microsoft trying to break its low of a base here at 433. Can it hold that support? I'm okay with this. Getting stopped here. Okay, so I'm going to get... Oh, we're good. Still good. Still in. What do we got? I got to make sure I'm on the right screen. Yeah, we're here. We're good. So like I said, I talked about that 806 being the area where we kind of need to get through in order to hold this overnight level. It went to it, like I said, to the tick. If we could break through 800, I think then the next break through 806 could go. Should 800 hold, then we're going to be stuck. So if we get through 806, I'm going to go to even. As I mentioned, I can only make $150 on this account because otherwise it ruins my consistency. And I've been pushing the goalpost because I make a little bit too much on the account. So 806 to me, if it's not going to go now, it's not going to go. So I'm going to go to even. I got my hotkeys there. There's the break at 806. So we're good. We're golden. I'm going to move my top step to securing myself a $200 day. And now whatever happens with it, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to see if I can get it to move up a bit higher. Can you take me higher? 806. was that line in the sand for me. Microsoft helping us out. Nvidia is just breaking above VWAP, so that should help us. So there's that 150 target. So we are now filled on that there. And now since that's done, I'm going to flip you to my top step since I'm still in it. I don't have to be as tight with my profit targets. I would love to see it get through VWAP and rotate all the way to highs. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? I'm going to leave my stop right where it is because, securing up over that level is nice. But I hope people were able to watch the beginning of this stream, see why I didn't take the trade immediately, and then see why I did what I did as far as the thought process behind executing the trade, having a plan, having a process, and just working through it one step at a time and not kind of forcing things just because I see little things happening, right? I was able to talk through that 806 level being important. Could I have my stop below 806? I could, but I'm going to go candle to candle now here and just take my money and run, to be honest. Because NVIDIA is up over VWAP, so it should help us continue back to VWAP. If we get to VWAP here very quickly, I am very quick to trail on this, right? I'm not looking to get super, super greedy, although I should probably, right? I have 2 XFAs. I'm not copy trading them right now. This is the one trade of the day on this account. This will be locked up. And then I'll have the other account. It's got a slight drawdown on it, but not much. And I will look to find a good trade on that as well. So this is a great first day back into the stream. I really feel like it helped me become accountable for myself to sticking to the strategy 100%, allowing it to work itself. So like I said, I am totally cool with taking another $500 day. I do feel like this is strong enough to hold, although we are in such a headline-driven market that at any second, this could snap down and rip me out, and I'm not willing to give back that much on these trades, right? With a full mini on, I'm not getting greedy, right? I want to take my little piece of the pie. Yes, I want to revert all the way back to VWAP, but for me, personally, my strategy just calls for, walking through how I trail is just kind of a feel thing for me. Some people like to just leave it, leave their stop down. I'm going to secure the amount of profit that I, expect out of this move, each little piece of the move, to get it to go quick or not at all, right? Because, like I said, this could easily pull back on us really heavily. NVIDIA's at the high of day, so where it could be at a spot where it wants to pull back and snap on us. It could break out, and we could just continue to trail this all the way up. If I get through here, I don't trust the trailing stop on this at the moment. I've gotten kind of in trouble with my trailing stop and certain things, so I'm going to just manually do it. On my TFD, I do allow the trailing stop to work. So, if you're not going to be willing to secure profits, then you're not going to be able to. People say, oh, you can't go broke taking profits. You can if you do it wrong. I just have my own trailing rules on how I want to secure as much as I possibly can out of particular moves. As I mentioned, I look to target VWAP as my ultimate, this is where I think price probably will stop. All roads lead to VWAP. However, we do have a good chance that if we break through VWAP and we get through the high here, you get some capitulation pressure to the high side. So I will trail to VWAP and use it as my stop if I am allowed to get there. If price doesn't want to let me get there, you had some high volume selling here. Pre-market at 45, we got to it. We sold off again. So just kind of looking through those levels and everything like that is what's going to help me. So if we do get through that 46, I'll move my stop again. I'm just going to trail, like I said, I trail candle to candle. I want to see that break, but I do want to secure a little bit more out of that. Obviously, this is an important level here, that 26. I could leave it down there. If I was trading a bigger account size, more contracts, I would have probably taken one off with the trail. I'll be a little tighter with the first trail, and then the other one would stay at even as a runner, or I would structure trail. But right now we're just going candle to candle, moving it, letting things play out. But so you can see this is how I trade. So if you have any questions, NVIDIA ran right into the upper band of VWAP. I mean, we're up about $1,000 on that. I'm willing to give back 200, and to make another 2, 3, thousands. Who knows where that could have ended up. But I do find that this wick here, this congestion area, obviously is an area of interest. NVIDIA ran right into its upper band of VWAP. There's a lot of reasons for me to take that trail up. Microsoft is at support. It could break down, and then we could rotate once again back to the downside. So I like to see a little bit of... I watched level 2s as well. On here, I don't have the level 2s, but I'd say that's a solid trade. We could run the sirens for it. Let's see. That was a good trade. I'll take that every day of the week. And we're also going to hit the lockout button. No need to get greedy on this account all day, every day. You take your money and run. That'll stop your FOMO. And you're good to go. Cheers. Alrighty. Yeah. So that setup alert is off now. There we go. So this is what I was talking about as far as why I was waiting for this setup to kind of play out. This all-time high anchored VWAP was supportive here. We broke through it. It was resistance a while back. Came back, supported it. I expected it to at least hold one more time, give us that bounce. I wanted to see NQ also get a little deeper, get closer to that 730 level, 775. I said 745, so we were right in that area there. So we see that bounce, which actually played out really nicely, obviously, for us here. Trapping shorts. Do I think that this can continue up? I do. But like I said, with FOMC tomorrow and certain participants probably not wanting to extend themselves out before that decision, even though it's probably a nothing. They don't want to be positioned offsides before Wednesday. It's May too, so there's lighter participants. You haven't seen very many big headlines regarding tariffs or any sort of trade wars, Ukraine. Lots of the things that have been big explosive volume, volatility bombs have kind of settled in for a little bit. But I didn't want to be caught on the wrong side of that, right? Could I have held this a lot longer? I could have. Probably on the futures desk, I would have. Had I been allowed to make more, right? I would have taken that first contract off with the trail and then allowed this to play out as long as it wanted to. But that's just how I have to play this because of our consistency rules. We'll select the setup here. For those of you who don't know, this is the futures desk. It's a mean reversion long overnight low play. It gives you the top end journaling software you could possibly ask for any sort of prop desk firm, funding firm. It's not a mean reversion short, it's a mean reversion long overnight low. Dismiss the look. So you saw how our strategy played out. Everything worked out well. What do we do with TFD after we execute? We're done, we're locked up. That's not even an hour's worth of work today. You're done, right? So I'm going to click off of my Top Step X, or my TFDX. I apologize to the futures desk. You can see we have a daily profit target of $150. If I go over it, it extends my target. My original target was $17.50. I was making $200 a day, so you're adding $50 a day. It starts to extend that target. It does nothing as far as your buffer, so it allows you to build a bigger buffer if you do go over, which the new rule is if you use my code Policing Pips, you can go 150% of any sort of drawdown. So if I were to want to, I don't have the access to it because I've had this account now. Obviously, you can see 64 days. So I've really taken my time with it. But I've gotten to the profit target and back. It's been a lot. But they allow 150% catch-up rule now. So if you want to get involved, use my code. It's 50% off. And you can have this new catch-up rule boost where you can go up. But since we're done for the day, we're going to go ahead and close out our day and do our review on it. How well did I stick to my plan? I think you guys watched that I did everything exactly how I wanted to. I don't think I got emotional. I think everything that I wanted to play out did. Even if it didn't, I planned the trade before I took it. I executed on the plan, and I allowed it to kind of work out the way it should work out. Or, if it wanted to do something different, then that's it. NVIDIA is now breaking through that upper band of VWAP, cracking through highs of day, trying to break through pre-market resistance. So be aware that probably has a good long playing out here right into VWAP. So, like I said, all these plays, my mean reversion targets normally are VWAP. When you're trailing out a single contract, you have to make decisions. Are you going to be all in, all out? Are you going to scale in with multiple contracts, multiple micros, right? It's up to you on how you want to get in and get out. For me, for the top step, as I am building my buffer in my XFAs, right, I'm looking to do so a little bit more aggressive until I have that buffer where I can go, eventually take my payouts and then start to at least keep capital in the account and build it and build it and build it. So I like to take my money and run, especially following their rules. If this was a personal account, if I was trading more micros with the futures desk, same deal. If I didn't have a profit target on the futures desk, I would have been able to allow this to move up higher because that pullback in the scheme of, everything wasn't that much. But if you're, trading and you're up, a decent amount in these props, you have to kind of play their game. So that's what I'm doing with that. But I think that was a really well executed, well thought out trade. If you guys have any questions, anybody who came in and Big Boy Ray is in the chat. That was how you execute that trade as best as you possibly can. So I am not going to execute much more. Like I said, I have the other XFA that I can execute on. I need to find something that makes me want to execute. The futures desk, here's where we're at for the week. Both days, I made my target yesterday, made my target today. One step closer to getting through these eval stages. TFD is straight to live. So once you get past that was exactly what I look for in trapping shorts. This was a perfect trap. I mean, like I said, if I would have taken this, it would have been fine too. It just wasn't it didn't move as clean as I like. And it could have. It's more of a coin flip because you didn't get the sweep. You don't know if they're trapped, really. I mean, yes, they're all short and offsides. I could expect now that this has been trapped. Really, what happened is they trapped the longs to expect them to be long, stopped them out, grabbed their stops, grabbed their liquidity, and now have rotated back through the overnight low to be more of an inside day. You're looking for this to probably rotate all the way up into that previous day low. I don't know if you make it all the way to previous day highs because of the FOMC tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised. These are good entries for longer holds, for people who like to hold longer, people who want to do these things. If you would have just entered this and forget it, you're up really nicely on this trade here, right? 20,000 isn't a bad target. Yeah, so we've really don't have much to talk about here right now. NVIDIA is a little bit extended, I think. It could continue straight up, but I could talk about that. If anybody wants to do other stuff, let me know.
Protect your trades from macro headline risk with Financial Juice Pro.
There's I also mentioned here, this was going to probably be the play after you get through VWAP. This here, that 63, 64 level, getting through that, and you're going to get a more of a pressure type squeeze play up through the highs. So you are starting to see that. If I would have gotten to there and would have been able to hold it a little longer, I could have probably even though I would have been stopped because of this wick here, I would have trailed up to there. So no matter what, I'm stopped on that. My thing is if I get to this, I would have trailed with VWAP now and then use my structure right. Here's a good area for if you're shedding contracts. That's a key level. That 900 level is a good area for you to shed contracts because you could possibly come back from 900, back down the VWAP, retest VWAP, and try to continue up. Microsoft's pushing higher. NVIDIA is pushing up a little bit, running into some of that resistance that I talked about pre-market, that secondary resistance, but it has broken through that. So it does have room to try and hold yesterday's low, which was 112.67. So if it does hold that, then it could rotate up to 113. But like I said, this is a good area for profit taking if you are taking profits and shedding and doing multiple contracts. My XFA, how many points did I take on that? I took, let's do it. Show chart executions, right there. I caught from 19,787 to 19,828. And you want to, let's do this. 87.75. And I got out, I trailed out at 28.75. 40 points, I should say. I was up 57 points. Could have trailed out a bit quicker as I started to see this wick form up above 40, like I said, because I did have this area of resistance here that I wanted to be mindful of. This is where I said that the selling was going to come in. Obviously, it is where it came in, and we continued on. You never know. As I mentioned, when I trade one full contract, it's really just trail that full contract out aggressively on some of these moves. I do target VWAP. I'm approaching VWAP. If that's my target, I'm going to give back a little bit, but I'm not going to give back that full move. I'm not dumb in this market. The way it is, it is a little less low volatility at the moment, so we're okay. 40-ish points, 40-something points, I said. What are you doing, buddy? If you hear a elephant in the room, you're closing the door? Okay, see you later, Max. So like I said, I am one and done here today. Just kind of talk through everything. If you are interested in the TFD world, they are using a 50% off code currently. You could use my name and get 50% off. They do now have a catch-up rule or whatever they call it, the boost, where now if you're lower than your high watermark, you can make up to 150% of your daily profit. I can't do that because I have one of the older accounts, so that feature isn't available, so I have to make my 150, and I'm also pretty much right at, if not on my high watermark. Let's see on the reports. Active accounts all time 33.97. My high watermark is 35. I'm currently in $108. I've drawn down roughly. This is my profit curve from the beginning. I've talked about it. I'm honest about it. I'm not going to hide what I've done in this world because it doesn't matter. My journey is different than yours, is different than everybody else's. But they do provide excellent data here for you to be able to work off of, right? This is your full end dashboard. There's so much you could do with the TFD, journaling reports, everything. When it comes to the profit simulator, right? This is where I'm actually at, this purple. Early on, I wasn't taking setups. The reason I was in drawdown, I was really just pressing things and trying to do too much. And those didn't have setups. So if I just take off the no setup trades, look at how much further along I would be into my equity curve, right? I'd be up 6K instead of up 3, so you're up half of what you could be by taking no setup trades, right? So little things here and there that I would like to get into more if people like to see about TFD and their dashboard. This is my win-loss distribution. I post this a lot on X because I think it's an important thing to see. All the trades that I've taken in this account ever are here. The green are obviously winners, red are losers. when you look at it, there's no outlier losers, right? They're all consistently small losers. I have some winners that are bigger than others, but for the most part, I'm keeping my winners consistently average as well because of that consistency rule. But if you get into this, that's how you maintain this type of profit curve, right? That's how you maintain, by not having outlier huge losses, you're going to be able to maintain this account long term, build equity, and then eventually people will want to give you money, right? Because they know what their downside risk is, right? That's it. Downside risk is there, it's set. But the upside has a lot of potential, once you start making small adjustments and doing little things here and there, right? So, like I said, my goal is to be done with this eval here soon. I've gotten to my normal, my profit targets at 1,700. 1794. This didn't actually update over here. There it is, 1794. So my original target was 1750. We're back over that original target, but because I was making $50 more here every day, making 200 instead of 150, that moves that target, because they don't want you making a boom or bust trade and passing in a day or 2 days, right? And I understand it, so I'm not gonna I joined pretty early, so I didn't really make that adjustment early enough, and I wanted to get myself out of drawdown and be able to do things correctly in order to do this and keep this account alive. But having this account now for 64 trading days is not too shabby. I've had it since the end of January, so for having the account for 3 months, 4 months, trading only 2 micros, only being allowed to limit my upside for that $150, $200 mark, there is room for exponential growth as long as you limit your downside. And that's what this is really proving to me and to others who are now joined into TFT, is that you don't need to go crazy. You don't need to risk a ton. You don't need to do a lot for your equity curve to show positive expectancy, right? And you're able to push these accounts up and to the right. Long term, they'll scale capital with you. You'll get a lot of really good benefits, K1 tax benefits, a lot of that stuff. There's really no limit to what you can make once you start doing things correctly and taking things on your own. So like I said, there's a link for it in the stream, I believe, somewhere, TFD. If not, go to thefuturesdesk.com and then you can adjust your eval sizes to that, which is pretty cool. Go back to the charts here today. Excuse me. Always fully caffeinated, daytradingcoffeeco.com. You can see it scrolling across the bottom. You want to buy some coffee, use my name, you get 15% off. Always freshly roasted, on order, never sitting on shelves, sent straight to your house. We are basing out here now at above the VWAP. NVIDIA also trying to push. Microsoft running into an area of resistance again, but if it can get through that 435, 435.10, 435.15, that area, then you do have some pressure that could push it up. Microsoft has been strong after earnings. NVIDIA has had some strength after the U.S. chip exemptions and all that stuff. So there is good demand in China. They're kind of trying to ban the chips here and there, but also overall, NVIDIA is still the daddy of a company, right? So it's leading the way. I'm gonna have to figure out how to cut that trade and allow it to play, but I'm not gonna really do too much editing today. I wanted to get back live. I wanted to see how I felt talking again, getting back into the swing of things, getting into a groove. I do go back to work on Friday, so I'll have a couple days to adjust myself and see how I can continue the streaming going. Maybe I'll hop back on tomorrow. We'll see. I think today went pretty well as far as talking through our trades. I'm going to stay on till 10 I'm locked out on 3 of the 4 accounts. I'm locked out on my 50K here, my XFA. You can see locked out. Realized 800. Can't be mad about that. Futures desk also locked out. Took our base hit. Done for the day. We talked about how we planned that out, and we had everything done. Planner here. You have all of our setups. Today's day was planned out, right? Here's the profit factor. We have a perfect profit factor because we took one trade, made money, and called it a day. I'm copy trading it across 2 of the accounts. That's why it's 302 and not 150. But you can see average trade P&L 150. This was my plan pre-market, right? The daily journal. I take a screenshot before the markets open of both NQ and S&P. I didn't type anything out because I know what I'm looking for. I have the idea in my head. So realistically, like I said, I've been talking about it on stream. The stream is also part of my journaling process. We try to hold the all-time high anchored VWAP on the S&Ps while also showing the NQ. I added a level on the NQ after the fact, but I had it on here. So this is what it's all about. You have your daily goals. Did you do what you wanted to do? Yes, I did. I took only A plus setups. Great. Newborn duty. The wife didn't ask me to do anything, so I didn't have to go run out there. Did my best on that. So having your daily goal set, having a plan on your attack, having your setups all ready to go. There's no excuses on just clicking buttons and doing it. We all do it. I do it. I still do it, but I try to limit that downside. So today is graded an A. Yesterday was graded an A. We did our best to plan out the idea, walk through it. If you just joined us or if you haven't seen the whole stream, go back to the beginning. You can walk through why I took this trade, why I didn't execute in the very first minute of the day, and then why I waited for exactly what happened to happen, right? It's really more well shown here on my TFD because I have MES and MNQ up. I gotta repopulate the VWAP so it's in the correct location. Give it a second. Alrighty. As you can see, we're locked out. So just kind of reviewing the trade, going through the mental state of it, right? All night we've sold off from open, really from yesterday, previous day high at right around 145. We've sold off ever since. We have people who are thinking that maybe we get some continuation to the downside, right? So what I'm looking for is a failed break of overnight lows, rotation back to the high side. I always target VWAP as that mean reversion where people want to get back to, right? So talking through this, I expected that low to get swept. It made the previous day, the overnight low here at 827. We opened at 830, right? So we swept it real quick and then pushed up. Very grindy movement to the upside. It moved in a way that I felt like I was being trapped to go long in order to get stopped. And what happened, right? You see that it ground its way up to the highs here and then failed and then rotated back down. My thoughts on it as I was walking through it, kind of to give you an idea of what I was thinking. I was watching the S&Ps to help my idea in the NQs. I was watching NVIDIA and Microsoft. Early on, NVIDIA was heavy. Microsoft was pushing up, but it wasn't doing a lot of really aggressive moves. So I expected more of a rotation early to push through and fail, and then we could get the long from there. But what I started to see happen was you have this resistance on the S&Ps, right? Failed the overnight low on that first candle and pushed right up into this resistance level here at 56.29 and 3/4. You have that wick there where we grabbed some liquidity and sold off into the overnight low here. So what I said was, if we don't get a snap and a pop and a hold here, if this level doesn't hold, then you're probably trapping longs who already have their stops at low of the day. Where would price likely go in order to flush these levels? Give me my idea of, okay, people expect this to now continue lower after being short, momentum short. I'm looking to rotate back up And where will I grab those orders? I had that at the the all-time high anchored VWAP. I've anchored this VWAP at all-time highs. We have come into it and used it as support once. I expected it to get flushed and use it as support again, which we clearly see happen. In the NQs is all the way up here. We have yet to get there. So there's a little bit of divergence between ES and the NQ. Higher volumes seem to be a bit lower here in the S&Ps as opposed to there's much more volume in their average weighted price up above in the NQ. So we will watch that if we get there, when we get there. Going back to this, right? We saw that sweep of that level, came back, retested. I had my buy stop just above the overnight low. What I said was we're going to run into 806. You're going to get some resistance at 806. And then if you break through that, then you should be able to continue on up, get to VWAP, and possibly rotate back to overnight highs, potentially, maybe further. But like I said, I'm only able to make $150 on this account, so I allowed that thing to just do its thing and trail me out and stop me out. On the Top Step account, trading one full mini with a limited buffer, I'm still in the buffer building phase, so I am not allowing this to pull back on me much. I'm going to see money take money on this. As I approach VWAP, I expect there to be resistance. I see this candle here. I see there's liquidity grabs going on. We did trap there once before. Could we have rotated back down and gave back all of that? Absolutely. So I'm willing to give this the spot to just at least trail up tight, take what the market's going to give me and run. I did expect this to get to VWAP, which it did. And then if it got through, I talked about how it should not really come back to it. And right now, kind of playing out really nicely. So just kind of talking through what I did as more like a journal, what I would like to do more of, and how I could manage that a little bit better as far as trailing out. With, like I said, with TFD, I couldn't really trail out any better because it hit max target pretty quickly. Coming through this, if I'm able to take more than one contract on the S&Ps, if I'm doing full minis or if I'm doing multiple micros, this would have been trailing half of the position out up here and allowing this position to kind of do its thing still with the rest of the position on. So securing some of it, allowing the rest to work out. I would now at this point be at VWAP, probably a bit higher. I do expect that to kind of come into play there. So all overall, very good trade. Managed as well as I possibly could. And I am done for the day, right? I was done with under an hour, right? What time did I actually end up taking that and getting trailed out? I trailed out at 9:13, so we made it a little bit over, 40 minutes, 43 minutes of work to do that. Had I copy traded it, it's doubled, but I didn't. I'm not doing that right now. I'm building these accounts one at a time, just focusing on one good trade at a time. So that's the possibilities of just planning, executing, allowing the trade to work out, giving it the appropriate thought process behind everything, and then seeing what happens. And not overdoing it, not forcing it, not pressing, and we're good to go. Like I said, I don't really have Besant has some tariff talk about 15 minutes ago. Nothing really newsworthy at the moment. No headlines. So, but like I said, I always have my financial juice up. I have everything.
Voice use disconnect.
You can hear I disconnected it, I reconnected it, just to make sure that everything is good. I have a couple other streams going that I listen to just for the ability to have that news readily available to me, right? I think that's the most important thing at this point in these markets. It's knowing when your data releases are, it's knowing what your levels are, and it's having some sort of squawk, some sort of news-driven thing that's going to allow you to know when breaking news happens, because you'll see a random wick candle, and if you have no idea what it is, I mean, obviously it doesn't matter because it's happening no matter what. either whether you like it or not. But to know, and at least, not eases your mind, but you're aware of things. You know what's going on. Could it be something that could be retracted and then information turning around and I'll go pump the other direction, right? Is there reasoning behind certain pumps, certain dumps, noting them, knowing what, right? I have this noted as tariff announcement high, right? So that's a key level. It's a key information point. So that's why I have it there. I know when that data came out. I know what level it was, and I understand how price reacts around it. So that's something that I think people really need to, that don't pay attention to, at least just some sort of news feed. You have to have some sort of news feed. Now we're in that time of day where, I think we're going to kind of continue to just be more lower volatility. Our VIX levels are a little lower. We're at 24. Nothing, it's still not at lows, but it's not as crazy elevated as it was, right? Where we were at here, up in the 60s in the VIX. So our volatility has come way, way down. We're not looking for crazy, crazy moves at the moment. However, it is still a headline-driven market, and you never know what's going to happen
Just a heads up.
in the next minute.
Putin holds phone call with Israel's PM Netanyahu.
Okay.
Close tense.
So I just heard over the wire, Putin is going to do a call currently with Netanyahu. So who knows what comes out of that? You might get some wild headline of war mongering or whatever is going on, or it could be nothing. But at least I'm aware that that's kind of going on currently. You know what's in the news. I'm gonna stay on here until 10. So if you are here actually watching or anything, then we will chat it up. But as of right now, I'm kind of just watching, giving you the thought of what I have going on in my head. If you are a TFD member or not, show them your charts. Post it on X, tag TFD, and you could win some monies. $400 credit giveaway. Not a bad giveaway there. I'm not going to participate. What's up, man? How you doing? It's a pleasure seeing you in here. Like I said, I just try want to be as accountable as possible. I know that process chat's there, so I threw it up in the Discord. Let everybody know what you see in here, what you like, what you don't like. If you have anything you want me to look at or anything like that, I'm done at this point, right? I made daily profit target on the TFD. I'm locked out in my XFAs. I'm up pretty good, so I'm not going to complain about not being able to catch this entire move. I talked through the entire process of why I entered, my thesis on how price probably will react today based on my thoughts of, where we are in the market environment and all that stuff. So, and then I also talked about how I'm going to trail my exits on each account and how it's slightly different, right? How my TFD, I could only make that daily target. So I hit that daily target locked out with the XFA on my Top Step funded accounts. Really what I'm trying to do is build buffer at this point. I'm trading a full mini. So really I don't want to give back much on these moves, especially as we approach my target, which is VWAP anyway. and we're in this resistance zone. I had some other confluences that allowed me to say, okay, this probably pulls back even deeper. So to trail out at 28 here, this is where I got out. I'm in here, out there. That's pretty decent. I'll take that every day of the week. I appreciate you coming in, sharing your experience. Normally, I get my streaming up, I get it going, I get consistent, we get a decent conversation going in here. Obviously, it's the first day back. You lose that momentum of streaming, so I'm going to try and get back in here as many days a week as I possibly can, especially now. I've kind of just settled some things in. I'm pretty far along in the futures desk eval. Let's go back to the data points. I am 100% transparent. I do not care to sell you anything but coffee. If you want coffee, if you like coffee, you can go over to my website and grab some. Use my code PolicingPips to get 15% off of everything on the website, except for subscriptions because they're already discounted. But, looking through my statistics here, this is the week so far. We're having a good week of just solid executions and sticking to our plan and our emotional stuff. I'm trying, as far as I wanted to get away from streaming for a little bit so I could refocus in on and get myself back to where I was. Spending more time with the kids, doing more stuff with the family, and all that stuff while we are on our newborn duty, right? So haven't been on here as much, but I do like my interactions. It really helps me personally stay out of doing dumb shit, right? I don't want to be doing dumb shit. I don't want to be clicking buttons just to click them. And having accountability is live. I don't care if nobody's watching. I don't care if 100 people are watching, 1,000 people, whatever. At least it's out there. It's in the world. It's in the ether. I said something. I'm going to do something. My word is all I got. And discipline in this profession is all you could ask for. It's all you can, it's all you can do. If you're not disciplined, then you don't have anything. And you're not going to be able to make the money you need to make. This is a wrong level also. But it doesn't matter. Actually, that's right. I did that. Not as important because I'm done and we weren't over there, but I knew that was wrong. I have my correct levels on my TFT setup and I trade off of them there. All I needed to know is my overnight low there at the moment. So now that you have the thought process of what I did for my long idea, looking now here for rotations, right? NVIDIA is up over kind of like post-market levels, and then it failed it. It could push all the way back down to 112.67 and still be holding yesterday's low. So I would imagine NVIDIA pulling back some is healthy. Microsoft is holding up over 435.17, which is kind of holding us up a bit too. So my anticipation is here. We could probably pull back into VWAP if you're looking for some sort of long continuation idea. Watch NVIDIA, watch Microsoft, watch the ES as well to see where you are, what's holding in order to get yourself some confidence. This is a bit trappy for longs as far as the way this pattern kind of works out. I'm not a big pattern trader. I'm not a big, concepts. I try to keep everything super simple. As you can tell, I have 4 levels here, 5 levels if you get to the overnight previous day high, right? VWAP and these levels there. I am using more data. I'm using price from the Mag 7 names that are leading the way, right? I find who's leading, I find who's lagging, and I try and work off of that. It's all a feel thing for me, not something that's going to work for everybody. And honestly, I just need to be able to say that, off the jump. I think realistically, just allowing yourself to develop your own strategy based off of what you can do is the biggest part of taking another step in trading, right? So for me, like I said, if I was looking at this, I wouldn't want to be doing much here. It has a heaviness to it that I don't like if for continuation. However, this could be like the same type of deal, right? Trap over here. Oh, I gotta turn off the magnet. Trap over this area. Long, trap these guys. Come in, stop them out. They're probably stops below here, stops below VWAP. I could imagine price getting into this zone and then absolutely blasting through once NVIDIA starts to curl, although NVIDIA is already starting to curl. Microsoft is just basing out on top of the key structure level, right? So just understanding the price dynamics and how it wants to move and how it gets orders to fill is kind of important to know as well, right? Like, in order to get long, you need to have somebody selling it to you. Where are they going to be selling it to you? Where is going to be the most liquidity? Where are you looking to get it? There's a lot of liquidity at VWAP. People are looking to buy at VWAP. They're looking to manage orders close to that area, right? And if you don't know anything about VWAP, grab this book by Brian Shannon. He sent it to me after he bought some coffee because he's a great guy. I got a little autographed copy here, but this will tell you everything you need to know about VWAPs, anchor VWAPs, why they work, the math kind of behind it, if you so are interested in that kind of thing. But I think realistically, understanding what price patterns mean as opposed to just because it is a pattern to just take it it's important as well, right? So you have this structure here, that structure there, you have structure above, you have the ability to understand, okay, we trapped some longs. Now that there's some bigger players pushing this higher, are we going to now rotate this all the way down? Do they want to sell? Is this what they were looking for here? Were they looking to sell to somebody? Obviously, there's liquidity here. Or are they looking to get longer? Are they looking to get people long and then throw stops in and then try and soak up that liquidity more? Is there a big resting order here down at VWAP? I don't have the level 2 up right now on this account. I have it on the futures desk. Like I said, NVIDIA could pull down into 112.65 and then bounce on top of that band of VWAP, right? You have that right there. I think NVIDIA could pull into here. That is still low of the day from yesterday. You can see here, low of the day from yesterday. To accept into that level and start to rotate up into that 113.70. Same with Microsoft. I've been talking about it basing out on top of that 435 level that I've had that I talked about earlier. Still over previous days consolidation area. I think realistically Microsoft can continue. It has been strong. NVIDIA also can continue. It is strong. NASDAQ, S&Ps, you're going to get some interesting behavior out of them. I'm locked out, right? I can't trade, but for me, realistically, I have nothing. I'm in an area. The reason I use my levels is because I want to be extended. I want to be not at VWAP necessarily. I do take positions from VWAP depending on how I see the plays coming out, such as how we saw this anchored VWAP all-time high bounce play right here. It just made a lot of sense because of the structure of it. But in a day-to-day basis, I'm looking for extension away from that volume average weighted price. I'm looking for places where people would be interested to do stuff, right? Larger participants. Why does overnight low make sense? Why does overnight high make sense? Because that's where price turned around in other sessions. Why does previous day low and previous day high? That's where the extremes are of that previous day. Now, if you're above or below those, are you bullish? Are you bearish? Are you looking to see, okay, are we going to continue this downtrend? Are we going to continue this uptrend? Previous day low and high, previous session, right? Market open to market close, not the entire day, but market open to market close. That's where everybody participated yesterday. Are they interested in being above that price, below that price, staying within that price? So that's the reason I use these levels. When I'm in the middle of these zones, I don't trade chart patterns. If I do start seeing myself doing that, diddling in the middle, doing these things, this is when I'm not trading my best. I'm not executing correctly because I'm trading away from what makes me money and what keeps me consistent, right? What keeps me consistent is being extended, having a lot of eyes on that level, and then the ability to kind of read how price is working through that zone, and then how it should react should X, Y, and Z happen. And like I said, if you rewind this stream to the very beginning, go back and look how I talk about how I entered this trade, why I entered it, the thought process behind why this was a trap, and why it should probably rotate back to overnight highs. So overall, like I said, I'm only gonna stay on here one more minute. I appreciate everybody stopping by that came in here and there. I know it's gonna take some time to build back up. I did this more for me and the few people that I know come by frequently. It's a great day to have a great day. I hope you guys all enjoyed the little bit of analysis that I gave out today. I'm going to look to do it more. Kind of talking on the side here and there, trying to do this more scheduled full time, and allow you guys a deeper insight into the honest truth of trading and the honest transparency of what I got going on, because I feel like my journey at this point is where everybody wants to get to at least this point and then break beyond and up. And I think if you can see me do it live in real time, it can inspire you to do it more. I'm not selling anything. I don't want no courses. I don't have anything. Like I said, the only thing I'm selling is coffee, and it's just because I love it. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. It's not gonna, kill me if you don't. But I want to be helpful. I want to be useful, and I feel like the best way I could do that is on stream here, one trade at a time, talking through our theses, right? Allowing some of these to work. As this account buffer grows, maybe with the XFA, as things start to play out, you might see me manage that trade slightly different, right? I might be able to, instead of taking one contract, take 2 full minis on it, right? If I take 2 full minis on this A+ setup, I'm out on one. I'm secured $800. I'm at even because I understand the dynamics of when I can be at even. I know people say don't go to whatever. I would have been able to trail once I'm able to move. Maybe I'm still in this position. Maybe I'm trailing the VWAP. Now I've doubled my profits. I'm able to manage this position differently, but it's because of the size of the account, the ability to scale, and then just adding a little bit more, not changing too much about how I get in and out, but allowing me to manage it a little bit looser, because you're able to take pieces off, secure some profits, and move on. But like I said, TFD, I was limited to $150, made it quick, done. Here, my XFA, I'm trying to build that buffer. I'm in a full mini. I understand the environment of there's been a lack of follow through a lot. And this could have easily rotated back all the way through. As we approach my target of VWAP, I'm willing to take that off, right? So, like I said, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go and stay on the charts here and there, entertain myself in the Discord, take care of the kids, and hang out with the wife for a couple more days before work starts. So until tomorrow, I'll try and come back on tomorrow. It depends on what the schedule's got going on. I got to make sure the kids got everything squared away, and then we'll reconvene. But until then,